And that was not even brought up.
Where in that list was anything mentioned about legal counsel? It was not a topic of conversation. And yet today, this is now some major issue that has an impact on a far deeper personnel than board members. We're telling, without any vetting process, that our superintendent and treasurer needs to select and deal with a unknown entity. It's absurd.
Have we looked at the, spoken to the people who would be most impacted by this decision? The two of them, our union president, any of our teachers, Laura Nazarene, you know that all of them use their services and they work with them directly. We don't work with the attorneys directly. They do. Have you talked to any of them to feel, see how they feel about that change?
We have not.
Well, I think that's part of the respect that we have between all of our employees. We have to give them the chance to put in their 2 cents. If they agree that we need to switch, we need to vet the process and make sure that what we're doing makes sense and has an impact on everybody.
And let me just say that in my own activity as a member of a school district, an employee of a school district, I have never participated with a legal counsel that set a flat monthly rate for their services. It is on an as-needed basis, typically by an hourly rate. And so you're saying that it's appropriate for us to make an investment of $84,000 for legal counsel.
And you don't even know what we spent last year to see if that would be a savings or if it would be more than we spent last year.
It is absolutely absurd that that would come to this floor with no prior discussion and no vetting process. I'm appalled.
During the board comment section at that, it wasn't even an agenda item for us to be given information prior to the meeting to consider.
And since we're talking about things, well, who made the decision to rearrange the board? Where did that decision come from? Pray tell. Talk about frustration. Somebody just arbitrarily makes a decision that they're going to rearrange the board. It's amazing.
Yet we're supposed to work together. How can we work together when we have actions? Your actions speak louder than words.
They only need Jeanette or Steve 70% of the time, and they don't need you.
Well, in light of our financial situation, Frost Brown Todd has agreed to the fixed price rather than the hourly rate.
Of course.
With no cap.
There hasn't been a vetting process. Why would you do this?
With that itself alone is going to save us money.
You don't know that.
How do you know that when you don't even know what we pay?
The audience. They'll do it for less money. Let's just do that.
If I could interject for just a moment. I was asked by a single board member to take a look at Frost Brown and Todd, or actually move to Frost Brown and Todd.
I'm sorry, you were given direction to do that?
Yes.
I'm glad that we have this on camera, right? We have the final report?
My recommendation, my recommendation has been and continues to be that we go through a process to vet. If the board determines that we want to look at different law firms, then it is my recommendation, and I believe Ms. Cropper's, that we go through a vetting process, which I just was able to secure a date for today with our internal staff of February 27th. It is somewhat irresponsible for us not to have the players who work with the attorneys in the law firm on a regular, if not daily basis, involved in that process. We have been able to avoid lawsuits for at least during my tenure as superintendent, and a large part of that is because our employees who work with the attorneys have faith in their decisions and they give us good advice. And I'm not saying that Frost, Brown, and Todd, I'm not passing any kind of judgment on anybody at this point. I can only speak to what our experience has been. It is my recommendation, and I think it is most prudent and most responsible for the board to go through a vetting process if there is a desire for us to look at a different law firm. In many districts, most districts, quite honestly, there are more than one law firm that's engaged at any one time, which is why it makes sense that we do it on an as-needed basis as opposed to a flat rate. Many times we will get opinions from more than one law firm, especially if it's a high risk kind of situation. A lot of what we do in special education has high risks involved with the decision making. Same with labor law, et cetera. It is in the best interest of the district to have someone who is well versed in education law, because it's like anything else, a specialty area. So I will go on record as saying it would be my recommendation. Again, I think I can speak for Mrs. Cropper, but I'll let her do that in a moment. It would be my recommendation to go through a vetting process, and if whoever comes out on top, I'm fine with. But I think we would be remiss and irresponsible if we did not use the expertise we have in-house and involve those folks who work with attorneys on a regular basis to keep us out of legal issues. It will be much more expensive to make errors around legal issues than it will be to pay any hourly rate that we might need to be charged. So again, that would be my recommendation and advice to this board. I would suggest that you consider not just a price point, especially when we don't have all the price points, but not just consider a price point when there's much more involved with the services we get from law firms than just the money issue.
Do you not believe as part of that vetting process, you're going to look at that cost issue as well?
That will certainly be a part of that. But understand, too, that folks who specialize in education may charge a little bit more than those who don't, but we're going to get answers a lot quicker and take less time than those who don't have a specialization in the area of education.
And do we not currently utilize two different legal counsels in the district?
We primarily use Bricker and Eckler, and we use them for negotiations, which was a big piece of what we were involved with this past year. We have, in fact, used Ennis, Roberts, and Fisher. Both are known in the state of Ohio as education law firms.
And we use Dave DiMuzio to do our property, sorry, I know most people forget that we do use him to do our property tax appeals and counterclaims. You do have to, when you file your counters at the Board of Revisions down at the county office, you do have to use an attorney to do that, and Dave DiMuzio specializes in that particular service. So.
And I'll add one more thing, and then I'll be quiet, maybe. I have asked for board representation on that vetting committee. Ms. Sanborn has agreed to do that, and honestly, if we go that direction, I'd like to have a second board member be a part of that as well. I think it is a joint.
I'd like to
I think
serve in
it is.
that role.
Well, that's not my call.
Okay.
I think it is a joint responsibility to make sure that we have the best firm or firms that we can represent in this district. We don't want to get ourselves into legal issues. The settlements on things that go awry are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's not in the best interest of this district.
No. Well spoken. Thank you. So, Mrs. Cropper, now that we have a motion on the floor, is there a respectable way to back out of this, or do we have to go through the process of calling for a vote?
If you could, if they would like to withdraw the motion and withdraw the second, then we could do that. That would be a way that we could do.
Withdraw the second.
You're going to withdraw the second?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Are you going to withdraw the motion?
I withdraw the motion subject to vetting and procedures.
That, again, that date we just solidified internally with the staff would be, we'd be interviewing firms on the 27th of February. And I would like an official appointee in addition to Ms. Sanborn for that committee.
Ms. Sanborn, do you have a problem with Mrs. Brinkman being a participant in that committee?
I do not, but I know her schedule limits her from being able to come to things.
I will make that.
And if she cannot, I will step in and provide a backup.
That's an
Well,
unfair statement.
I'm just saying you're out of town a lot. I'm just making, I just
I
said,
will make this a priority. I can rearrange my schedule as I need to.
okay, that's fine.
This action speaks volumes. And I really, truly hope that people realize what just went on. It speaks volumes.